Check your time. It's time for Market Weekly, brought to you by Nairametrics Television, your one-stop source for Nigeria's biggest financial headlines and the global market movers. I'm Frank Fagbo, and this week's roundup highlights renewed optimism in global markets, warning signs in Nigeria's banking sector, strong corporate earnings, couple of results came out this week as well, and shifting dynamics across oil, trade, and retail. Let's dive right into the heart of the conversation. One of the key stories is global stocks rise in US-China tariff negotiation, and a lot of hopes around the corner. Global stocks market rallied this week as a lot of optimism grew over potential breakthroughs in US-China tariff negotiations. Now, the US stocks futures climbed steadily, with the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and even Nasdaq, all of them showing positive gains, posting positive gains as regards this week. Some investors even shared the news that preliminary talks between Washington and Beijing could lead to easing of trade barriers for boosting global trade flows. Some analysts say that successful negotiations are critical to maintain momentum in the global economic recovery. Also, market volatility remains elevated, with concerns about a mixed corporate earnings, persistent inflation, and geopolitical risk, keeping investors cautious. Also, we're seeing that investors are also rotating into safer sectors like consumer staples and energy as a hedge against any possible setback in trade discussion. And then moving on to what is happening in the banking sector, Nigerian banks are beginning to feel the pinch after a record 2024, with earnings growth showing signs of slowing down in the first quarter of 2025. A combination of rising operation costs, shrinking FX revaluation gains, and tighter credit demand is weighing on profitability. Remember that reports from leading banks, including Zenith Bank, Access, shows a narrowing interest spread despite record gross earnings. Some analysts are warning that a persistent high inflation, strict CBN monetary policies, and elevated cash reserve requirement, that's the CRR, all of this could further squeeze their margins. And if the trend continues, Nigerian banking sector could transition from record profitability into a more challenging earnings environment through 2025. Let's move on to some other local stories. Number one on our list is the fact that Zenith Bank posts record interest income in the first quarter of 2025. Now, Zenith Bank reported an all-time quarterly interest income of 837 billion naira in the first quarter of 2025. Total gross earnings reached 1 trillion naira, showing strong expansion despite macroeconomic headwinds. Now, the bank's net interest income rose by 155% year-on-year to 515 billion naira. Also, higher impairment charges and operating costs offset much of the top-line growth. Zenith Bank also continues to lead the industry with absolute revenue terms, but faces mounting cost pressures. Let's move on to the FMCG. Now, Nestle Nigeria achieved best quarter ever with 295 billion naira in revenue. It looks like right now, Nestle Nigerian investors are going to tell those at the helm of affairs that, well done, you've done well, because look at what happened in 2024. It was a tough year for Nestle Nigeria. Nestle Nigeria posted its highest ever quarterly revenue of 295 billion naira in the first quarter of 2025. The company's profit after tax rose to 21 billion naira, recovering from a loss recorded in the first quarter of 2024. The sales volume also improved across key product categories, despite consumer spending pressure. Now, the cost management strategies and price adjustment boosted their margin significantly. Nestle Nigeria's strong performance also reflects resilience in the midst of inflationary pressures and currency volatility. And then moving on to what is happening in the power sector, Transcorp grows energy sales, lifts profits by 8%. Transcorp reported an 8% growth in quarterly profits, driven by stronger energy sales and higher capacity charges. Now, the group revenue rose to 67.86 billion naira, which was up by 57% year on year. The energy sales, accounting for the largest share, climbed by 73% in the period. The company's hospitality business also saw higher occupancy rates and revenue per available room. And then Transcorp's diversified model across energy, hospitality continues to deliver earnings stability. And it looks like a lot of investors are excited about their diversified portfolio. Let's move on to what is happening in the banking sector as well. First Bank Holdco expands lending by 1.1 trillion naira. First Bank Holdco, that's the holding company, reported an interest income of 625.3 billion naira in the first quarter of 2025. Their gross earnings surged to 730 billion naira, reporting robust loan book growth, and the group's total assets also crossed 20 trillion naira for the first time in the history of the bank. The lending expanded aggressively by 1.1 trillion naira, particularly to the oil and gas sector and the manufacturing sectors, both of them amounting to the largest chunk of their lending. But also, we're seeing that their operating expenses also spiked, driven by inflationary pressures and regulatory compliance costs. Let's move on to what is happening across the globe. The global stories. Shell reports $5.7 billion in profit. They've announced their share buyback as well. Shell posted a Q1 2025 profit of $5.7 billion, beating expectations despite lower oil and gas prices. All of this is against the backdrop of the price of oil hovering around $60 per barrel. Now, the energy giant announced a $3.5 billion share buyback program, whereas the strong energy trading performance and cost discipline supported earnings resilience. Shell's dividend was also maintained, signaling continued commitment to shareholders' returns and a way to make sure that shareholders are getting a decent return on their investment. The company's focus remains on balancing energy transition investments with shareholders' payout, and then against the backdrop of what is happening in the oil and gas sector. Let's move on to the Asian markets. Japan urges US to avoid a tariff amidst trade tensions. Japan's finance minister, Sunichi Suzuki, has urged the US to avoid new tariffs during ongoing trade talks. And then Tokyo also stressed that this could hurt global economic recovery and as well as negotiations continuing amidst the renewed concerns over the US-China and US-Japan trade frictions. Markets are closely watching for any escalation that could disrupt supply chains. A new tariff could just weigh on global equities and Asian economies at large. Let's move on to the Asian market. Australia reviews Chinese imports in the midst of trade concern. Australia launched an informal review of Chinese imports following unannounced trade actions. Now, the review is a part of broader efforts to protect domestic industries and also balance trade relationship between Australia and even China remains delicate after years of trade disputes. Any retaliatory move could affect key sectors like that of the wine industry, barley, and minerals. Global investors are watching closely for any potential ripple effect across the commodities market, especially that from Australia. Let's take a look at what is happening in our NGX. Monday, the 28th day of April 2025, the all-share index, what a positive day, 0.3% gains in the market. Market closed at 100, that's the all-share index, closed at 106,116.18 points. Market cap, 66.69 trillion naira, which was valued at 12.1 billion naira. Numbers of deals for the day, 17,637 deals. And then we'll move on to the top gainers and the top losers. We're starting with the top gainers. International Bureau raised 8 naira 47 kobo, 10% gains in the market. Legend Internet, they just listed 7 naira 50 kobo, 9.97% gains in the market. Cadbury, 29 naira 25 kobo, 9.96% gains in the market. And then Fitsin, 20 naira 45 kobo, 9.95% gains in the market. Intana, 43 naira 85 kobo, 9.90% gains in the market. And then those at the bottom of the pyramid, we're seeing livestock featuring among the bottom of the pyramid. Livestock X having 8 naira 55 kobo, 10% decline in the market. Aradel Holdings, 448 naira. That's the price per unit share. 9.86% decline in the market. Triple G, 1 naira 79 kobo, 9.6% decline in the market. John Holt, 5 naira 80 kobo, 7.9% decline in the market. Link Assurance was in Link Assurance, 1 naira 22 kobo, 6.15% decline in the market. The second trading day, which was Tuesday, the 29th of April, 2025, the all-share index, 105,931 points. We're seeing what a negative day on Tuesday, 0.1% decline in the market. Market capitalization stood at 66.57 trillion naira, and this was valued at 35 billion naira. Remember that Monday was just 12 billion naira as regards the value, and this is 35.28 billion. It looks like all investors came out to the market on that particular day because the numbers of deals, 16,619 deals. Top gainers, Legend Internet among the top gainers as well. What a way to start their listing in the market. Legend Internet, 8 naira 25 kobo, 10% gains in the market. ABC Trans, 1 naira 88 kobo, 9.94% gains in the market. And then Cadbury, 32 naira 15 kobo, 9.91% gains in the market. Champion, 4 naira 71 kobo, 9.79% gains in the market. Then Eternal, 48 naira, 9.46% gains in the market. We'll move on to those at the bottom of the pyramid. Livestock featuring among the top at the bottom of the pyramid, 7.72%, 7 naira 72 kobo, 9.71% decline in the market. Multiverse, 7 naira 5 kobo, 9.62% decline in the market. Mark Nichols, 1 naira 72 kobo, 9.47% decline in the market. Omatech featuring among the bottom of the pyramid, 9.23% decline in the market. MTN Nigeria, 240 naira featuring amongst the top 5 losers, 6% decline in the market. And it's been a long time we've seen MTN featuring amongst the top losers. And then the mid-trading day, which was Wednesday, the 30th of April, 2025. The all-share index stood at 105,800 points. Daily change, 0.12% decline in the market. Market capitalization, 66.49 trillion naira. Valued at 12.7 billion naira. Numbers of deals, 17,519 deals. Let's take a look at the top gainers. UPL featuring among top gainers, 10% gains, 3 naira 74 kobo. Vital Foam, 32 naira 80 kobo, 10% gains in the market. Livestock, 8 naira 49 kobo, 9.97% gains in the market. CI Leasing featuring amongst the top gainers, 4 naira, and then was market experiencing 9.89% gains in the market. Mark Nichols, 1 naira 89 kobo, 9.88% gains in the market. And then we'll move on to those at the bottom of the pyramid. International Breweries featuring among the bottom of the pyramid, 7 naira 38 kobo, 10% decline in the market. ETI, 28 naira 80 kobo, 10% decline as well. Ikeja Hotels, 9.89% decline. Cadbury, 29 naira for their unit share, 9.80% decline in the market. Austin Layers featuring among its top losers, 9.52% decline in the market. And you remember what happened on the 1st of May. It was Workers' Day, and so no trading on the 1st of May. The market took a break. And then we'll move on to what happened on Friday. Friday, you can see it live on your screen, the top gainers, the top losers, and how the market closed as regards the positive or the negative. That is what you can see on your screen. And that's it on this episode of Market Weekly, brought to you by Nairametrics Television, where we take a look at what is happening across the market and across the globe at large. My name is Frank Fagbo. I'll see you next week. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Cheers.